It's the last Sunday in June, and it's time for a Grow Time update. We've transitioned from spring gardening to summer gardening. It's too hot to grow radishes. Our temperatures have been mid-80s to low 90s every day, and for the last week and a half we've had thunderstorms almost every day. I'm going to pull out all of the radishes that are going to seed, and we'll replace them with some plants that can handle the hot weather. This one formed a little radish, but you can bet it's going to be hot and woody. In this peony circle, I'm going to transplant in some basil. Basil is very hardy in the heat. It should grow really well. This is a sweet basil from Bonnie Plants. I can smell the basil just from touching the plant. It smells wonderful. And I have this purple basil, also from Bonnie Plants. I also transplanted in some little lettuce seedlings I had in a tray. It may be too hot for them to grow, or they may do fine. You just never know. And always remember to give your transplants a good soaking. The other peony ring is a different situation. The radishes in here haven't been bolting. They were started from seeds. It's possible they're more accustomed to the higher temperatures. So we're going to let those grow, and we'll see if any of them make radishes. Looks like some kind of tiny mushrooms are growing in here also. Now let's take a look at how the plants in our two planters are doing. The radishes have gone to seed, so we'll just pull those out. This lettuce plant did okay, but I'm going to go ahead and pull that out because I want to use this container for something else. And the lettuce plant in this container is even smaller. I'm going to take that one out too. Now let's go take a look at how the lettuce is doing in the very small victory garden. The lettuce plants here are much larger, growing much more vigorously. I've picked leaves off of these numerous times. And that illustrates the problem with growing in containers. It's fine if that's all the space that you have, and you can dedicate some time each day to caring for those plants. But if you're like me and you're busy and your plants get neglected, you'll find that they just don't grow very fast in containers. I'll just strip the leaves off these plants and put them in a tray with some water in it so they don't wilt while I'm outside working. The soil in the containers has settled a lot, so I'm going to fill them with compost from my compost bin. In this container, I'm going to put in one of my pepper seedlings. These are from seeds that we saved. Not sure what pepper this is. And in this pot I'm going to try something a little different. I'm going to try sowing some herb seeds in here. I have a pack of sage seeds which claim to be ideal for containers, so we'll give these a try. They're fairly good sized seeds. This is about half a pack, maybe 20 or so. Just going to sprinkle them around. I don't know how well they're going to germinate. It says it takes 2 weeks for them to germinate, which is kind of a long time. And it says to plant them 1/4 to 1/2 inch deep. So I'll just take the rake and rough up the soil a little bit so they settle in. Then firm the soil, and we'll give them a good drink of water. Worm. And I'll mulch the top of this container with a little bit of grass clippings. I want to make sure the seeds don't dry out while they're trying to germinate. Also, this will provide a little protection from the thunderstorms we're expecting. Okay, we finished with the containers for today. Let's head over and take a look at the very small victory garden. The first thing I'm going to do is pull out the rest of the arugula. It's just too hot for arugula to grow. I'm just going to strip off whatever good leaves are there and throw them in with the lettuce. The lettuce is growing well, so I'm going to pick some leaves from the bottom up. I finished picking the lettuce. It will grow again and be ready to harvest in another week or so. And I got about half a tub of lettuce. These are those $5 tubs you see at the grocery store. If you saw my video from 3 weeks ago, you know I planted some bean seeds. You can see the beans are now about 1 foot tall and they're starting to flower. It'll be a few more weeks and we'll be ready to harvest green beans. There are still a few radishes in the ground. I don't expect them to make bulbs, and I'll eventually pull them up, but I don't think I'll get to that today. And here's the 2 tomato plants. They're doing really well. They're putting on flowers. They've grown out the top of their cages. I'll have to stake them up. And the last thing to see is these 2 cucumber plants. They've started growing up the trellis. They have lots of flowers. This variety appears to have male and female flowers. You can see this is a male flower. And if you look here, you can see this is a female flower. It has a little cucumber forming at the base. If it's been fertilized, that cucumber will continue to grow into a full-size fruit. So that's all for today's episode of Grow Time. If you've joined me on this journey, you've had dozens of radishes, handfuls of arugula, plenty of lettuce, and there are cucumbers and tomatoes on the way. And if you haven't started growing any of your own food, it's not too late. Warm weather is here. It's a good time to plant green beans. You can still start cucumbers. Basil will love the heat. And it's not too late to start a tomato in the ground as long as you buy a fairly large potted plant from a nursery. Thank you all for joining me for Grow Time. Get out there and grow some food. It's time.